Hello, everyone. Welcome to another partnership chat here with Loncom Consulting, where we have an amazing conversation with our partners. And today, I'm very flattered that Blue Drop, one of our partners, has joined us, and I have Omar and Anna here. So first, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience, and please introduce Blue Drop.
All right. Well, hey, I'm Omar Juman. I'm a co-founder here at Blue Drop Studio. I've been working in the digital marketing industry for almost a decade now. I've started my journey building websites, and my journey has led me to working with funded tech startups for a few years, starting an advertising agency and settling down in the e-commerce industry. I've consulted for bigger agencies, worked on big spend accounts, and decided to focus on working with sub £1 million yearly revenue e-com stores to help them scale up their profitable sales through digital advertising and email marketing through my agency, Blue Drop Studio. Blue Drop Studio, in a nutshell, aims to work with e-commerce brands that have a genuine passion for their products, their customers, and their team. You know, we're growing e-com brands beyond that elusive first £1 million yearly profitable sales mark, generally by implementing testing and scaling frameworks, across multiple digital advertising channels and email marketing, with an emphasis on creative.
And my name is Anna, and I'm the other co-founder and creative strategist at Blue Drop Studio. And my background is the design and advertising side of things.
So now, really thank you about all of that. Thank you for that intro. What I'm always interested to hear about, especially having now two co-founders on the call, so both of you here, what is the journey to Blue Drop? I'm always big on saying, did we all think and dream that we are going to end up in e-com, and do we all dream and be in digital marketing? Then from your side, what are the stories behind both of you that then led you into Blue Drop?
For sure. I think for myself, while working in the tech startup space, I started to take on some smaller sized e-commerce stores as clients, and ended up getting some pretty great results. One of our first clients was really on the edge of giving up on their business, and the financials really went in a good place. And I loved the brand, loved the products, loved the passion. So we decided to give it a go. And we actually managed to flip their business from being this cash straining activity to a business that generated profit. And the actual impact this had on our client's life, as well as their business, to have had so much of an impact on someone's dreams, literally just through doing something that we love, was incredible. So we decided to double down in that direction, and that led to Blue Drop shifting sort of from this tech space to working with and scaling these sub £1 million yearly revenue businesses to 1 million and beyond, all through delivering this sort of great ad creative and thoroughly testing out new ideas.
What about you, Anna?
And yes, and my journey is quite similar to Omar, because we've been through it together for quite a few years with Blue Drop. But my background is very much in the design and advertising side of things. But it's when I started working within the tech space in London, this is where I really dived into the world of creative paid advertising, influencer campaigns, really short deadlines, really big budgets. So it was really motivating, but also you had to deliver results very, very quickly. So a fascinating space. But at one point, basically, we sat down and we thought about, where can we have more fun as marketers? And I think for me, working with those independent e-commerce stores where the founders are really passionate about their products and helping them communicate those products through their advertising and marketing, is where I really like to focus on. So from that perspective, a similar journey to Omar, but at the moment, definitely very much focusing around the smaller e-com stores.
Yeah. I think it was very interesting when we initially kind of talked about Anna, and there was a referral coming from kind of our way to you guys, and that they really chose you because you had that personalized approach, and you weren't that big agency that is just gonna from the sales passing on to the junior, and then everything kind of finishes there. They were talking really to the people who were decision makers on the business, on the project, and so on, which was definitely something that then put them your way. What I'm also interested about is, I think PPC is getting a lot of heat in the industry these days. everybody's saying it's expensive. Everybody's saying if you're starting up, that's not the place where you should be, finding your sales because it's too expensive, too competitive. There's various of these reasons that, you have to, for Instagram, you have to have it nice and polished to get it somewhere. For TikTok, it's a little bit different. Okay, very, emerging platform, especially in the UK and rest of Europe. Is that the biggest challenge that you're facing right now with Blue Drop, that these scale-up brands just don't believe it or don't have the funds for it? So what is the challenge that you currently have in your niche of scaling those brands and the services you provide?
Great question. I think the biggest challenge that we face at Blue Drop is not necessarily one related to client acquisition or customer acquisition. I can get on that shortly, but our biggest challenge at the moment is being able to define where we want to go with the business. And I think that there's a flip side to what you've said, which is nowadays, today in the digital landscape, there's unlimited scope to what it is that you can do. Do we want to continue hiring exceptional creatives, marketers, and growing our client base? Do we want to start a free educational platform to help everyone grow their e-commerce brands? Do we want to build out an investment and accelerator arm of the business, or do we do all of it? That I think for us is figuring that out is the main challenge. But definitely understand, and we speak to business or e-com store owners all the time, and they have very similar objections. PPC is an extremely competitive space, but I think what we've put together, or the way that we approach strategies and execution for our clients, we're really focused on testing. And I think that conversation needs to sort of evolve from what used to be, okay, if we have this super complicated multi-channel campaign structure that's going to be, we're going to focus on these people here and retarget those people there. That I think is not necessarily the wrong way to look at it, but for smaller brands looking to jump on the ladder, I think that putting or having almost your total emphasis on the creative and the message that you're trying to get across, depending on your products, making sure that fits within that customer journey on the right platform at the right time, like that's the key to making it work. And if you're able to test multiple creatives, okay, the first idea you might come up with might not work. It might stick, but probably it doesn't. So you need to iterate that 3 or 4 times. Maybe you come up with a variation that does. And that's the process that we've seen sort of combat this expensive PPC. It's incredibly saturated. It's too competitive. But, if you're testing constantly and trying to figure out and doubling down where things do work, that's how you can get ahead. And I think that's one of the ways to beat that common objection and issue that people face all the time.
Well, there we go. E-commerce brands listening to the testing is the way out of it, So very, very good tips for that, Tom, and I really appreciate that. And then another kind of question for you is, Omar mentioned here, testing, that being definitely something that you really focus on. And then we also kind of mentioned previously the personalized approach and you being quite a boutique agency from that side. Do you see, apart from those two, any other main selling points of Blue Drop, and why do those e-commerce brands that you're in conversation with, why do they choose you amongst all the others?
That's a very, very good question. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is that we are super passionate about what we do. And the best work that we can do is with other people who are passionate about what they do. This is why we love working with founders who create their own products, who really put in the time and effort to understand, what problems are they solving? What is it that they are bringing into the market? And I think that passion is something that you can't really quantify as such, but definitely those clients that we work with who have that, they are more willing to try new things, to sometimes be a bit more brave with trying different formats, even for creatives, like founder videos and things like that. And just this ability to have this growth mindset and approach for testing is, I think, what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think from our side is when we're doing the prospecting with our clients, we have this metric that we but his willingness to change. It's pretty similar to Action when it comes to that, because when we implement digital solutions and when we try to make them more data driven and look at more the analytics on the operational point of view, it's a very important statistic for us, because if somebody's stick up their ways and just like buy into our service because they think it's trendy, we're not going to have as good as results as somebody saying, yes, I really want this, I'm going to put some effort, I'm going to put the resources also from our side to make this really implemented within the company and all the people in there. So that's passion. I think it's quite then closely related to it, because if somebody is really driven and put into the brand, you're going to have much better results. Imagine just if they reply a little later than 5 o'clock, then just turn up at when 5 p.m. hits. We're going to have much faster communication and better results from that side. I'm going to go a little bit off script, because PPC is a very also, I think, hot topic right now. People are deciding how to do it. What are the strategies about it? We are kind of outside of that problems, especially in the UK. Now, retail 23 and beginning of 24 maybe wasn't ideal. So people are looking to now invest. They're planning now for Black Friday, for the busy periods. But for those new brands, right, trying to scale, this is going to be an important time, because, the busy period is here. They want to maximize it. They need to maximize it. Much more important for them if they want to continue and growing. What are those like small tips that you would give them in case for them to look for, if they're doing it in-house, their digital marketing, or if they're having another marketing agency to look for and kind of measure whether they are doing good performance with them? So a couple of tips I'm trying to get out of you.
Of course, no problem. I think, firstly, don't be afraid to test stuff. One of the biggest things is that misconceptions there is that people think it's just burning money on what doesn't work. But you'd be surprised at how much money people have burnt to figure out what does work. And I think that's where this trial and tribulation of the ecom founder sort of begins, usually when they just take this leap of faith into PPC. It is just testing stuff, but make sure you have a structured approach when you're testing. Don't just test random things. When you're looking at a creative, try to understand what are the different variables that sum this creative up, and then maybe try the exact same set of variables, but change one the second time round, change the second one the third time round. Just keep trying different things. And on top of that, one of the cool concepts which I really like is sort of it's almost like a creative framework that we apply to digital advertising, and that's this see, think, do, and care framework. And I think it helps people put things into perspective. So if you think of this customer journey, people are always on different levels of this customer journey. Somebody may have experienced your brand once, so they're aware you sort of exist. Well, arguably nowadays, just seeing a brand once doesn't necessarily mean that. But let's say, for the sake of the example, they're aware you exist. You want to get them thinking about the brand. Let's say they've taken an action and they've added something to their cart. They've consumed a bunch of your content on different platforms. You want to get them to do something, convert, basically. Or maybe it's on the other side of the spectrum. They are completely unaware you exist. You can apply the C sort of stage of that see, think, do framework to it. And I think that's a really cool way of marrying creative with different or almost standard structures of media buying or campaign structure. So, typically you have things like cold, warm, hot audiences, or top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. But when you reframe things into like sort of this see, think, do, care, it becomes a little bit easier to start to craft your creatives and the messaging within those creatives to those different stages of the customer journey. So you can create ads that specifically speak to the C stage, before someone's aware that you exist, etc., etc. So those are two quick tips I would give. I could probably spend the rest of the day babbling on about it.
Yeah. Look, this is going to be a good YouTube short, I think, getting those tips and getting it out there for people to look at. I think not definitely testing. What I would say is the biggest problem that we find, look, we are, your data analysts, your systems people, and when we implement a lot of these solutions, we do a lot of testing to see whether it's going to break and so on. The problem that we see in testing is that people try to kind of make the test work if it's not working, which is not the purpose of test. You should, I think, set yourself, we're going to run this campaign a month. And if it's not working, we're turning it off after the 30th date. We're not going to leave it for another 5 or 10 days or 20 days just to see if it works. No, it doesn't work then in that space. So I think the people don't really know what proper testing is. And that's a big thing that we try to communicate with our clients. And something we are kind of big on. If it doesn't work, that's fine. Just kind of leave it. We know that doesn't work. We're not trying to make that failure kind of all of a sudden become this big success from that side. But that kind of leads me into also our partnership. I think it's very interesting that you have that focus on testing, also personalized approach. Testing is also a lot of data, and that's where we kind of cross-reference for sure. Us looking at the operations, you looking at the marketing point of view. And I think also personalized approach. We're also very vocal that we're not this big data agency or big digital kind of partners that work with hundreds and hundreds of clients. We have this small bunch that we really try to focus on. Everybody try to get to the developer straight away. There is no, big project managers and big hierarchy of communication to get down to the root of the problem. So in that conversation, I think also you focusing on the scale up is something brilliant. We also work with those type of brands and just the partnership from our side seemed very, very logical. That's what I would say.
Definitely, totally agree. 100%. Data has the biggest part to play in so much of anything that you do with your business, online or offline, for sure.
Yeah. And I think also from what I want to say is, there is always going to be new brands coming up, new e-commerces. We're going to try to target, we're going to try to work together on and get kind of those things working from them, because let's face it, you can't be an expert of everything in the business. There is this area big full of marketing and everything going on there, big full of the data and digital, which systems best to use, how to run your business, which websites and so on. So absolutely, I think in the e-com space, it's looking bright for those businesses also working as service providers. But look, I appreciate all of the things. I think very interesting to meet a little bit more Blue Drop, everything you're doing, the focuses and people, and then especially brands listening to it. Definitely check out their case studies. Quite impressive what they've done and scaled some of the brands that they've been working with. But now to finish off this partnership chat, I would like to call them quick and crazy questions. What we're trying to accomplish at the end when we do all our partner chats is have the snippets and so on. So I want to hear from both of you very kind of quickly the answers to the 3 questions that I have. And the first one being, if you had the magic wand, what would you change? It doesn't have to be only the business. It can also be your personal life and whatever comes to your mind.
Cool. I'll go first. This is going to be such a ridiculous media buying one, but it's I would implement perfect tracking and attribution in the digital space. And I know it's a hot take, but I genuinely believe the world would be a better place for it. Sure, brands would be able to track and see what you've clicked on, for example. Maybe not you specifically, but they would be able to see how many people have clicked on any one thing. But you would seriously cut the amount of rubbish that you get served online all day long and actually get things related to what you're interested in. And that would help solve the problems that you experience.
Second one, I had this already one time. So, okay, there we go. Maybe an idea for a tech to kind of deploy it. I know that there's tech out quite expensive, I would say. Those tech that monitor all of these is a combination of tech and sometimes too expensive for some of the scale-up brands altogether. But hey, if somebody can make it for cheap, why maybe not listen to Alma and deploy it out there? What about you, Anna? Magic wand, what would you change?
Yes, that's a fantastic one. I think the first thing that comes to mind is the UGC side of things. So I think not enough of the e-commerce founders believe that a good UGC can really help them grow their stores. And by good UGC, I don't just mean some pictures that they were tagged in on Instagram, but actually planned collaborations, long-term collaborations, because that is the goal. If you can communicate your product in the language of your customer, you're immediately connecting with them, which is really valuable. So I think that...
There we go. Good tip. No, I appreciate that. Okay, second quick one is the coolest project you ever worked on. This can be as part of Blue Drop or in your previous lives. So come on, share with us.
Yeah, I think, for me, I've thoroughly enjoyed most of the projects that I've worked on. And the only times I don't enjoy working with projects is when someone genuinely is not passionate about either their products or what they're selling or their customers or their team. So if that isn't there, it's not a good fit. But otherwise, I usually love projects we've worked on. The latest project is a collaboration with a brand called Pooch and Paws. They're founded by, I think, the same people that make the TPs for Glastonbury Festival and have an incredibly cool offering for your pooch. They sell very well-made sort of dog TPs that are incredibly cool spaces, primarily for dogs, but for cats too. And we're taking it pretty much from scratch in terms of the D2C side of things, and we're seeing some super promising results. So, it's great. It's been great because we've been able to dive into everything from cost per purchase versus ad creative, data in mind, to engaging session time on website visitors versus ad campaign, really keeping data at the heart of our testing and management. And again, the founders are super passionate about what they do. So it's a no-brainer, and I love it.
Would you agree on that, Anna? Or is there another project that comes to mind?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's a super fun one. When I was thinking about it, I think for me, it's every single collaboration is different because the set of products are very different. Apparel, dog products, right? They sell for different reasons. But I think for me, it's the favorite part of our process within those collaborations, which is where usually after 4 to 6 weeks, when we start seeing that data come through and we start understanding, okay, this is where we should go. And this is what we should stop, is then trying to figure out, okay, how can we really hack it? How can we approach this to really push the profitability of these ads further? What type of content? What is it, a founder video ad, or is it just a USP focused explainer video? This is where the creative juices really start flowing. And every single time we do this, it's different and brings new challenges and pushes us forward.
Sound like very, very cool projects you have at the Blue Drop. Last one of the quick ones is, in your opinion, what's hot and what's not?
That is a good question. I have a what's hot, and funnily enough, it's going to be linked to sort of what I've mentioned already, but I think ad creative testing is hot at the moment, or at least it should be. And I think this has a massive input from data and being able to track what works and what doesn't. And I think advertising platforms are moving much more towards this sort of machine learning algorithm when it comes to setting up ads on platforms like Meta and Google. But these platforms and campaigns and algorithms are only as good as the data that they receive. So it also means that, you're going to get way more out of cracking the creative and the message than you are playing around with this super complex campaign structure within your ads. But it has to be backed up by solid data structures.
Anna, what about you?
For me, I think what's not hot is not very good photography and not paying too much attention to actually making sure that the photography is really high quality. Many brands, I think, overestimate the power of video as the main format to focus on, but there is so much that can be communicated and said with really high quality photo, whether that's lifestyle or studio or showing the different parts of the product. So I think photography, not good photography, is definitely a no-go, but fantastic is amazingly hot.
Cool. Now, look, well, thank you very much for that. Thank you for all the insights, for introduction of the Blue Drop, for all the quick questions. I hope I didn't bug you too much on it. Thank you for your time. And hope everybody listening to this, check out Blue Drop, check out their case studies, what they've been doing. Very impressive. So, Omar, Anna, thank you again.
You're very
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.